on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Which is the Skyrim for the PS4 and Xbox One.
The remastering.
The remastery, which you've already shared on the group page. So we already knew it was coming because you found the European edition that you could pre-order. But give me 1 second. I was getting dry. I needed a drink.
I was going to say, that also brings up something else I was going to talk about the Skyrim on the PS4 and Xbox One. On that thing that I shared, it was labeled Skyrim the Definitive Edition. On here, it was listed as Skyrim Special Edition.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah. You know why? The reason why is because of region lock. The version of Skyrim that you can get in Japan is going to be different from the version of Skyrim that you get in Europe. It's also going to be different from the version of Skyrim that you get in China, because China basically would steal Skyrim and make it their own because of China's copyright laws. That's why there's so many Chinese bootlegs out there. But at the same time, it's also completely different from the North American and the South American releases that you can get. Like, all of it is completely different, depending upon where you're at. Like, a lot of shit actually gets censored based off what region it goes into, and a lot of shit also gets changed based off of what region it goes to. Kind of like how Nick was all excited when they were talking about the remastery of Final Fantasy X and X-2, because it was the International Zodiac Edition, which, on the original PS2 version of 10, you could only get that if you got a European copy. And the problem is if you got a European copy, the European copy would not work in your American PS3.
Yeah.
Or PS2. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was PS2 at the time. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway,
But with the announcement of Skyrim on PS4 and Xbox One confirmed, they also said you can play mods on the consoles as well, and that's something that we've been wanting to do.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, like, I was even looking for it. Like, I figured that they'd go through it and, show it off, but they didn't. They showed off Dragon mods, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, let's see it. Do they? Where's the one I'm looking for? None of these are what I'm... What? They purposely went out of their way. Either purposely went out of the way to not allow it, or purposely went out of the way to not show it. But they didn't show Macho Dragons. No, you laugh. That's legit. That was one of the first mods ever put into Skyrim.
No, I'm laughing because of remembering it.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like, that wasn't in there. And Nick has even made mention of it in the PC version. Somebody went out of their way to make it so that way that if you get a broadsword, it's actually Cloud Strife's Buster Sword. So, like, the big-ass fucking hard-edged fucking looking, like, polygonal, bad as shit fucking cut you in half sword. Like, man-sized berserk type of fucking sword.
Well, I'm guessing
there's
one thing that I kind of brought up with, I think, a few of my coworkers that can, either them or with you guys in Fandom Night, that probably can carry over here. I'm guessing with them including mods on the Skyrim for PS4 and Xbox One, they're probably using what they've learned from the Fallout 4 mods to carry over, and just kind of using some of that.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
At the same time, like I said, there's no Macho Dragons and there's no Cloud Strife Sword. However, at the same time, considering the fact that Cloud is Final Fantasy, which Final Fantasy is owned by
Sony.
Square. Square is not Bethesda. Square is also not id. So neither one of those products would be allowed to use shit from Square.
But if it's a fan-created mod, it might be in there.
news? Possibility, but very doubtful. They're probably purposely filtering that type of shit out. Like, they're purposely probably going in and being like, okay, look, this is a mod. Yes, but you're not going to be able to use that mod because we don't have the licensing rights to it. So because we don't own the licensing rights to it, nor are we prepared to pay fucking Square Enix fucking $50 billion because Square Enix is a bunch of assholes who all they do is want your money. And again, that's just me speculating off the fact of, even though I am a fan of Square Enix and some of the shit that they've done recently, like rebooting Deus Ex and all that. Excuse me. But anyway, rebooting Deus Ex and, doing up the new Tomb Raider type of stuff. It's like, okay, look, you're going to have to pay them the money because you don't own these properties. Okay, well, that's fine, but this is a fan-made thing. The fan makes no money off of this. This is a mod for our game. Oh, well, your game makes money. Pay us money. So unless that's what the Elder Scrolls card game, with it being pay-to-play, is going to help fund, in which case, fuck, sign me up for the Elder Scrolls card game. If it lets me use Macho Dragons, which the Macho Man Randy Savage is owned by the WWE. So I'm not sure if they'll license his likeness. If not, it's owned by his family, and if it's owned by his family, again, I don't know if they're going to license his likeness.
It probably is owned by his family, considering that he was Macho Man Randy Savage in WCW, and also carried over when he was in TNA for a bit.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. It's owned by the family. Unless, like I said, WWE owns it, and the only reason why they were okay with it in TNA is because he bought it off of them. But the last I knew, all of his stuff ended up going back to, well, most of his stuff went back to WWE.
No.
But then again, I'm not 100%.
No. Oh, no, I mean, I'm glad that they're finally doing this and finally making Skyrim. Even though a lot of people were like wondering why re-release it onto the PS4 and Xbox One remastered, and it's like, why not? People played it and loved it.
Well, yes, that's very true. But again, the problem comes down to something that Bill's mentioned before, which is double dipping. You know what I mean? Like, if the game's already come out and you already own the game and you can already play it, why? I own a copy of Skyrim. I own all of the DLC for Skyrim already. But that's on my 360. So I'd have to bust out my 360 in order to play it. Not that big of a deal. I just go to my dad's, go down in the basement, pull up the box that has my 360 in it, find my copy of Skyrim, and I do mean find, because even though I have 3. That's right, because the box that has my clothes in it still has some games underneath of it. But yes, I'd have to dig through the 3 boxes I have here to see if it's here in my apartment, or check at my dad's house in the 7 other boxes that hold all of the rest of my video game collection. Like I said, I like to be casual from time to time. But I'd have to dig through the 7 other boxes to figure out which one has Skyrim, and then find the controller, which, dear God, that's going to be another fucking nightmare, because I don't think I put my controller in with the rest of my shit. Because I think I was using it for my PC for a while, but anyway. So like I said, after I figure out where my where my 360 is, where my copy of Skyrim is, and where my controller is, I can play it no problem. All DLC, everything included, no problem. However, with the mods, yes, this is double dipping, but it's double dipping with a purpose. It's still Skyrim, with all the DLC,
and
so it's on the definitive Game of the Year edition that you could get for your 360 or your PS3 already, but you could play it differently, because not only did they boost the graphics, which, once again, kind of scares the shit out of me, because from what I've heard, they're supposed to be releasing a new PlayStation 4 here sometime, probably by about Christmas, which the new PS4 is supposed to have a better processor than the one that is sitting literally, 6 feet away from me with Netflix up and a movie paused. And yes, a movie, because I'm not in my basement watching... Anyway, I'm just going to leave that Helsing Abridged alone. Need a 72-inch plasma screen TV with Netflix. Anyway, so like I said, like, yes, it's double dipping, but yes, you're getting more content off of it. Like, it's not just straight double dipping where any other time that they do it, it's like, oh, well, here's the game, plus all the DLC, plus it's, you know, just a tiny bit touched up. Not much, just a tiny bit, because you could already play it on your other device, and it looked just as fucking great. You know what I mean? Like, they touched up a lot, and again, the mods. Like, that's really the only purpose I would have to go get it, is, again, the mods. Like, I've already played the game. I've already beat the game. I've already helped the Stormcloak 6 different times on 6 different characters. I've already killed fucking Alduin. I've already learned almost every single shout. And I say almost every because there's still a few caves I've yet to explore. You know, I've become the Jarl of every single town.
I don't think you can fully complete an Elder Scrolls game. Or a Bethesda game at that.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can.
You can?
You can. It's very difficult to do, but I did it for Oblivion. Oblivion was the first one I did it on, because Morrowind, while I liked it, I wasn't hardcore enough about the RPG series at the time. Like the actual action-adventure RPG. I wasn't into it. It took until Fallout 3 for me to be like, holy shit, this is awesome. So when I got Oblivion, I went out of my way to get every single achievement. I went out of my way to explore every single cave. I went out of my way to get, like, because as soon as you can buy property, like, usually the first one you can get for the cheapest is the waterfront property in Cyrodiil. I got that property. I went out of my way to get every single magical weapon I could find. Every magical weapon, every magical item. I stole shit constantly. I killed almost every single person after completing all the main quests. I did all of it. The only reason why people are still playing Skyrim to this day is because they purposely made the map bigger. Most people won't recognize it, but the map is bigger. Not by much, but by enough that there's still so much extra shit to do. Bethesda has also gone out of their way to make it so that way that not only do enemies respawn, like, you know, deer and troll and fucking skeletons and witches and warlocks and spooks and specters and vampires and, you know, you get your proton pack, get them all. But not only have they gone out of their way to make it so when those enemies respawn, not only in Skyrim, but you could clearly tell even more in Fallout, or at least Fallout 4, but they've also made it so that way then shit is a little bit more random other than, like, very specific questline items. I could put the game in right now and start up 3 different characters, and the only things that will be in the same spot, other than, like, quest items, is the shit at the very beginning of the game. Like, literally, the very beginning of the game. As soon as I walk into Whiterun, fucking free game. I could break into this one house 6 different times, successfully if I can anyway, but I could try to break into, like, one house 6 different times, walk up to a chest, and every time I open that chest, it'll be different. There'll either be different amounts of gold in there, there'll be different items in there. There's one time you can find a sword in there, because I was actually reading up on this one time when I was trying to play it. Like, walkthroughs of Skyrim are damn near impossible to make because of the randomness. The only thing that they can actually do for a Skyrim walkthrough is be like, here's the town, here's where people are, here's the best skills that you can level up, here's the best things that you could do to make your character a specific way. If you want your character to be like this, here's how you do it easily. Here's the quest lines and all the different places you have to go to. And here are the quest line items that will not change. Here are where characters are, and that will not change. Like, anybody who's important will stay in the same spot. Any item that's important will stay in the same spot. Everything else is free fucking game. It's not completely randomized, but it's randomized. Like, there'll still be, you can go to the innkeep, and a lot of the innkeeps will have, like, apples or cheese wedges or shit like that sitting out in the open on the table, where if you have a good enough sneak skill, you could just take it. But everything is still randomized. And when shit respawns is randomized as well.
The one thing that's going to constantly bug me about this is them not calling it what it was first leaked, the Definitive Edition. But other than that, this is something I probably will be getting day one because of how much of a fan I am of Skyrim.
No, I don't blame you there.
I mean, would this be something you'd probably be trying to get?
Eventually. My problem, once again, always comes down to cash flow. Now that I have my own place, I got to be more concerned with how much money I have. Whereas here in a couple months, if me and my roommate can't get our shit together and figure out how we're going to pay our bills and be able to buy groceries and put gas in our vehicles and shit like that, like, we might be a little boned because some shit went down with me in the last couple weeks where money just disappeared out of my account and I have no idea where the fuck it went to.
Which is something you gotta check into either tomorrow or something.
It's probably going to have to be tomorrow because the banks are open tomorrow because we're recording this on the Sunday that the press conference happened. So, as everybody knows, most banks are closed on Sunday. And, shit, I didn't check to see if tomorrow's a national holiday.
No.
Okay, good. So, yeah, hopefully it's not a banking holiday, but so long as it's not a banking holiday, yes, it'll be tomorrow. But, like I said, so long as, my cash flow's good, or if here in a couple months, once I have no money and I'm forced to either move in with some other friends or move back home and kill all my bills for a little while, then, no, not our boss bill, but my bills, like my utility bills and my internet bill and shit like that, if I can kill all of those, then sweet. And then I could start building up my cash, and then I'll be like, all right, you know what, I'll give that a try.
And then, after this announcement of Skyrim,